This is a podcast by WellHouse Church, where personal spiritual growth is fueled through a variety of practices rather than a single prescriptive time of devotion, where we discuss different spiritual practices that help us be more present with God, others, and ourselves. What's going on, practitioners?
How we doing?
We're doing okay. The last episode was a little bit hard for me, I'm not going to lie. On Let's Talk.
Oh,
yesterday's episode.
Yeah,
It was,
I get that.
You're
really vulnerable.
I was probably one of the most vulnerable I've ever been on our podcast.
Your 6 is going crazy a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, I was probably just as vulnerable in my deconstruction episode, but I didn't go into that level of detail.
Yeah.
And so, I'm feeling it in my chest right now.
Yeah.
And so if I'm a little bit off this episode, I apologize.
It's all right. We're going to talk about
a fun topic.
Or
fun.
What's fun for me. So here's the deal. I don't really talk about. This will be episode 47 or 48. I can't remember off the top of my head.
We're not at 50 yet?
No. Yeah, I think this is 48. I'm not sure. But in almost a year of doing all this content, I haven't talked a whole lot about my first master's degree.
No, I guess not.
I mean, everybody knows I have it, or I guess most people know I have it, but the actual contents of it, I haven't talked about. My master's degree is actually in patristic theology. So the first 500 years of the church.
I'm glad you explained that because most people be like, what?
Yeah, patristic, fathers. Patristic theology. Of that, it really focuses on a guy named Clayton of Alexandria.
Right.
Who's...
That's who you wrote your thesis on, right?
Yes. And even more narrow than that, it really focuses on his soteriology.
Yeah.
But if I'm really being honest, it's really about his theological anthropology.
Yeah.
It's about the body.
Right.
I can nerd out on this chapter about the body.
I remember, I don't know, a few years ago, geez, it's probably...
Almost a decade, probably.
Yeah, about 8 years ago. I said, hey, can I read it? And you go, you're not ready. Think I'm ready now? You think I can handle it?
I don't know, man. Because I do a lot with Plato. I don't know where you're at on your philosophy of Plato.
I'm actually pretty cool with Plato.
Okay. So where are you at on the tripartite soul?
That seems like another conversation, but
yeah, probably for a different podcast, like
it's
an
probably
off podcast too.
It's probably off podcast, but it's also probably a conversation we should have on P&P.
Yeah, well, maybe so.
But anyways.
So my master's thesis is really about understanding the connection between soteriology and anthropology.
Okay. About
salvation in the body. Ken makes this statement in the opening page of this chapter. The body, mind, and spirit are interconnected. This means that physical practices are also spiritual practices. I like that idea. Nobody had ever given me a construct to think about faith in that way.
Yeah.
Golf wasn't honoring to God. Hunting, fishing wasn't honoring to God. Everybody did it.
Yeah.
But it was something outside of God.
Because it's a secular thing.
Correct. This massive sacred secular divide.
And this is the thing also that we were talking about yesterday too, in context of process addictions, right? Mm-hmm. That anything that you do isn't necessarily inherently bad and can also be honoring to God until you take it too far.
Correct.
Right. And so in the same way, your eat, sleep, swim, whatever that is, can be honoring to God.
Yeah, well, you're taking care of your body.
Yeah.
That's the deal, is if we really believe that God created us, like if you truly believe that, then you also must believe that God created your body.
Yep.
And therefore, God cares about your body and wants you to take care of it as a part of your person.
And what is also connected to your body, Cullen? Your mind.
Oh,
brain.
Yeah.
Right? Your mental faculties.
Yes.
Therefore, taking care of like self-care, like mental, emotional self-care is also taking care of your body.
Yes. And I think that's the point. You know, the Bible has this language that we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yep.
You, your being, your existence, your person.
Every part of your existence
is fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah. I don't want us to cover up our Elijah Rising candle.
Yeah, our candle. So, Ken makes this claim, and I think it's really insightful. He says, God's decision to take on a body, the Christian doctrine of the incarnation, is the highest affirmation of our physical bodies. That's a really good point. If you stop and think about it,
yeah,
God's the most supreme being in the universe, in existence.
Yes. Fundamentally.
He could have saved the world a number of different ways.
Yeah.
The fact that he put on flesh, put on a body, quite revealing to how important the body is to God.
Yeah, the God, the Son part.
Yeah, this idea that we're all going to be these ethereal, ghost-like figures,
yeah,
I think is just a terrible metaphor.
Well, yeah, for sure. And it also goes all the way back to Genesis too, right? I say Genesis TOO, but also Genesis TWO, right? With the lamb, right? A physical being, a body being slaughtered, right? For the forgiveness of sins, right? And so like an actual physical embodiment of something has been important throughout the entire biblical narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. So
maybe that seems like it was just, Clayton. Yeah.
Well, no,
Like for me, like that was like a moment where I was like, oh, geez, like I just see a connection. Like,
no, what I was thinking is because you said Genesis 2, TOO and TWO.
Right.
And you talked about the lamb, which is not in Genesis chapter 2. And so I was trying to think.
No, it is because, I guess it's Genesis 3. I'm sorry. It's the fall. So it is Genesis 3. That's my bad.
I don't even think the lamb is talked about in Genesis 3.
That is where we get the slaughtering of the lamb. Or is that Genesis 4?
You don't get that in that section of the narrative.
You keep talking. You keep talking.
All right. So Ken has this thing, and this is what he says. If we've been given new life in Christ, our bodily, quote-unquote, house is no longer our own but belongs to God. God who has been breathtakingly generous with us, giving us his only son so that we can become his sons and daughters. In light of God's mercy to us, we respond by honoring the house that God has given to us and entrusted to our care. The thing I don't really like about this part of Ken's language is that he makes this super dualistic in that your inner person and your outer person are somewhat disconnected and he's trying to reconnect them. But I do think his idea is correct and that our body is something that's been given to us by God for us to steward and steward well.
Yeah.
And then he talks about the resurrected body, which I think is important. It's important that there is a resurrected body. And this is one of the stories that he tells, and I think it's a very powerful story. This is about Elijah. And he says, this is in 1 Kings 19. He says, when Elijah is depleted, depressed, and physically exhausted, God doesn't offer him a spiritual solution. He doesn't give him a passage to read from the Bible or pray for him or say, I know a great therapist. God offers Elijah 2 long sleeps. Twice, God provides him with freshly baked bread and 2 long drinks of water. God's care for Elijah is physical, practical care for his body.
Yeah. So, you are right.
Yeah, there's no lamb story there.
This is why I hate that like Sunday story, like Sunday school story thing, because it creates this narrative in your brain.
It's all the pictures they show you.
Yeah, that you then go back and realize it's not there.
No, it's not.
We need to come up with our own Sunday school like curriculum thing for kids that's actually biblically correct, because that just wrecked my world.
Yeah, no, that's not there. All right, moving on. Sleep. Here's the deal. Your body really needs sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, I am preaching to the choir. I do not sleep.
Same.
I know it's very unhealthy for me. I don't sleep.
Yeah. So, and it has been better recently because I've gotten on a better sleep schedule.
Yeah.
I've been forcing myself on one, but like anxiety, keeps me up, dude.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm not taking care of this.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not taking care of your whole person.
Yeah. Which is affecting the other parts of my person.
Oh, yeah. It always will.
Yeah.
It always will. You are such an interconnected person. Each and every person is an interconnected person.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I noted as being important in Ken's book. He says, Dr. William Dement, the founder and former director of Stanford University's Sleep Research Center, contends that sleep, more than any other factor, including diet or exercise and heredity, predicts longevity and health.
Yep.
While amounts vary from person to person, he says a typical person needs between 7 and 8 hours of sleep per night.
Yes.
I don't know that I know a single person other than my kids who sleep 8 hours a day.
I know one. His name is Jared Berwick. I will shout him out because he wouldn't care.
Does he really sleep a full 8 hours every day?
Legitimately, yes. He used to not, but like he realized how unhealthy it was for himself, and like he's on this really, I'm honestly very proud of him. He's on this really serious journey of getting like his full body and mental and spiritual self like in unison and making it very healthy. And so he's put himself on a very strict sleep schedule.
Wow. Good for him.
I'm very proud of him.
Good for him. He's the only person I know that's not,
that's an adult.
That's not under the age of 12 that
Yeah.
sleeps that much.
I'm very proud of him. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So with sleep, though, everybody thinks about sleep and how many hours of sleep you got to get per night. Let's talk about napping for a second.
Naps can be very healing. I'm not going to lie.
I'm terrible at them. I never take naps.
I rarely do.
I never do. I can be dog tired, and like the odds of me taking a nap, very, very slim.
Yeah.
But this is scientifically proven that naps are quite helpful for you. Productivity, health overall, all the things. This is a story in Ken's book. This is Winston Churchill, certainly no slouch, understood the restorative value of naps. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, he says that. Certainly no slouch.
Certainly no slouch.
Well, because that's
Love
his whole
that.
thing is like, because everybody's like, well, I don't have time to sleep. Got to work. Got to do this. Got all the things to
Churchill
do.
himself.
Yeah.
Also a drunk. Like, let's throw that out there too.
We can't all be perfect like you, Clayton.
No, I'm just saying, maybe that's what contributed to his napping. Like,
Maybe. It says, Winston Churchill, certainly no slouch, understood the restorative value of naps. You must sleep sometime between lunch and dinner and no halfway measures. Take off your clothes and get into bed. That's what I always do. Don't think you'll be doing less work because you sleep during the day. That's a foolish notion held by people who have no imagination. You will accomplish more. You will get 2 days in one. Well, at least 1.5, I'm sure. When the war started, I had to sleep during the day because that was the only way I could cope with my responsibilities. Napping is one way to care for our bodies that enable us to be more attentive to God, ourselves, and the people around us. I'll be honest.
That
I don't
almost
nap.
sounds exactly like our intro to this podcast.
What?
We do practices, or we teach you practices to be more present with God, others, and yourselves.
Ourselves. Yeah. I don't take them, but like people wake up from naps sometimes feeling like $1 million.
Mm-hmm. I have a hard time with that, actually. If I take a nap in the middle of the day, I most of the time don't want to do anything else.
Yeah. Healthy eating. It's the next category. You can take this too far, obviously. But I do think it's right that food is the fuel you're giving to your body.
Yes.
Do you want to put garbage fuel in your vehicle?
It also even goes further than just putting in garbage fuel, right? It goes into the whole balance thing, too.
In what way?
Balance between carbs, fibers, proteins, right?
Yep.
Making sure that you get all the right vitamins, like in the foods that you're eating, right?
Yep.
Your body has a specific ratio of these things that it needs to function at its highest, most performing level. And so it goes even further than talking about putting garbage into your fuel tank. It's talking about putting the right ratio of things into your body. It's like if we're going to go with the car metaphor, you need the right oil. You need the right gas. You need the right oil filter, right? Like all these sorts of things that go into a fully functioning, well-functioning car.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's fair. But I also think, and we'll talk about this more next week when we talk about play.
Yeah.
But I also think eating food that makes you happy,
it can also
is also important, and I would put it under the category of healthy eating.
I would too, and that's why you have cheat days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
because you can't 7 days a week go on this full, like for my friends that like the Daniel plan. You can't just eat fruits and vegetables 7 days a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It don't get there. You don't get there. You would have a very miserable life if you did that. So you just kind of generally have to think about what that looks like and what that means for you.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that I think in all of this conversation is about taking care of your whole person, right? And we're breaking the ways to take care of your person up into these 3 categories of sleeping, eating, and exercise.
Yeah.
I know it sucks. Like, I know the grind of doing it is rough.
Yes.
But it's important.
I know a lot of people that find so much healing in it, though. And
there is.
I will be one of those. I will say that I've been that person that has literally said on multiple occasions, Pilates changed my life.
Pilates never changed my life, but I definitely dig exercise.
Yes. just in general, that like exercise is so healing and it's so good for you.
Yeah.
It changes your mental and physical just state. And I found a lot of time while I was running and doing Pilates to pray and listen to podcasts or spiritual books or whatever.
Yeah.
To improve like even my spiritual life.
Yeah.
Now I have been very bad about it in the last year. But I have found that to be true in the past.
Yeah. You know what I do while I work out? I listen to the Bible Project podcast.
That's a very you thing.
I'm a nerd, I know. Yes, exercise.
I listen to Christian rap.
That's a very you thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I exercise outside.
Yeah. I prefer to.
Yeah, quite a different experience of exercising for somebody who's exercised predominantly in gyms since they left football in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different kind of experience and much more fulfilling.
Yeah.
So,
well, it just brings into the whole idea of the connectivity of everything.
yes.
Right, of creation in general.
Yes. And so all of this is about putting yourself, your whole person, into a position to offer the best of your whole person to God.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason we're even talking about it, and to add it into our rule of life is to say, like, hey, these things make me the best version of myself. And I want to be the best version of myself for God and my relationship with God. Not in some kind of shameful way that if I don't do these,
God doesn't love you.
God doesn't love me, or I'm not good enough for God, or that kind of thing. But it is to say, like, hey, God loved me enough to do all of this for me. I want to try to live my quote-unquote best life for God.
Live your best life now.
Yeah. And so as you write rules for how much sleep you're going to get per night.
Yeah.
At least 5 days a week, I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep, or, whatever it is. Hey, 3, and even if you have big areas in this, your rule is something flexible.
Yeah.
It's something that you grow into. You're constantly changing and revising. And so until you find one that works, and then you can up and push yourself a little bit more. So even in like healthy eating, even if you have to say like, hey, I'm going to try to eat 3 healthy meals a week. Yeah. Like if that's all you can commit to, cool.
Legitimately, that's what I've started doing. I went to H-E-B and bought, those pre-prepared meals that they have.
Oh, those are so good, but they're so expensive.
They are, but I bought 3 of them. Right. And I said, I'm just going to work these into my diet this week because one, it's easy.
Yep.
Yes, they are expensive, but like one, it's easy. I don't have to do it. I can come home from work and I don't have to worry about cooking this big, healthy, like.
Don't you just pop the thing in the oven?
Throw it in the oven.
Yep. Right.
And you just work this healthier meal.
Yeah.
Right. Into the oven.
Yep.
And you pull it out and that's it.
Yep.
And it starts that way until you can work it into something more.
Yep.
And that's the whole deal about just this whole deal about rule of life in general. Is it?
Yeah, all of it.
It needs to fit you and your lifestyle.
That's the deal.
But it also has to push you.
Yeah, so that's the deal. It has to fit your lifestyle so that it's not overwhelming, but it has to be, it is a rule. Like it does have to be stretching you.
It doesn't, you're not writing a rule of life to fit your current lifestyle.
No, you're writing a rule of life to better balance your life across all of these categories.
Yes.
And so start slow and easy, grow into it. But I really do think, and this is a problem with the American church specifically, because I really do think we're given over to Platonism, that we really have largely forgotten about the body. Functionally, the body really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, and I make this joke all the time, but like in a couple of months, every pastor that takes every pulpit at every church will stand up the Sunday after Thanksgiving and talk about how much food they ate.
Yep. And none of it's healthy food.
No, it's not good food.
None of it.
And they're going to...
Unless you're one of those weird families.
Yeah. And they're going to gorge themselves on it.
Eat so much.
Yeah.
And I also will tell you that most of those pastors are probably also going to overindulge in alcohol too. So let's just leave that.
I don't know about that. But yeah, I don't know about that. But all that to say, I really do think that we've largely and functionally forgotten about the body. And I think the body matters immensely. I don't think the resurrection of the body comes without ramifications for your life today. I think it's extremely important for your person, the wholeness of your person, to be in pursuit of restoration. That includes restoring and taking care of your body.